Hello and welcome back to our How to Paint series of videos. If you joined us last time, you'll know that we did this nice little ultramarine sergeant guy. Today we're actually going to be doing another one of my personal favorites. We're going to be doing blood angels. As I stumble around getting a proper paintbrush here, we're using the same ones we used last time, nothing too fancy. This one's a little bit beat up, but for doing some undercoats it's going to work fine. And I'll even show it off for you here. We're going to be doing Abaddon Black to start with, kind of my go-to classic, my personal favorite. So you'll probably be seeing that quite a lot in this little series. And again, if you guys have any recommendations for, any chapters you want to see, specific legions, whatever, feel free to let me know. And that does expand to Chaos Legions as well. I also like doing the kind of loyalist colors. I want to do the Emperor's Children next, once I finally get that paint ordered. And I really like their kind of loyalist look. The purple and gold looks phenomenal, so I think that's going to be on my list here. I also want to do Salamanders. Someone mentioned Imperial Fists as well. I'm going to be doing those. I just have to wait on all that paint to arrive. And as always, just to kind of mention it, we will be keeping our paint fairly thin for this. Just a little bit of water mixed in makes a huge difference when it comes to kind of building up those layers, and you'll be very careful about overdoing it. Same thing goes with how much paint you have on your brush. You want to be very careful about it. Not too much, but enough to, get a decent area kind of painted on. And again, with this being our kind of, I'd say it's almost like a shading layer. You don't have to worry about getting perfect coverage. You just want to do kind of the best you can. The only exception to that is going to be the Aquila, whatever, however you pronounce it. One day I'll learn. We do want that to be pretty solidly black, because that is going to be the color it's going to end up being. In kind of the difference to the gold that ultramarines usually have. So that's kind of the main focus for now. And I think we'll keep the gun black as well. And I think one of the knees will also do pure black. I don't have any transfers or anything, so I'm not going to worry about that. I don't really like transfers anyway, to be honest with you. It's just kind of a pain. And, I don't like freehanding either, so that kind of leaves me with not a lot of options, but I would rather freehand emblems and logos than I would to mess with transfers. That's kind of how deep my hatred for them runs. I think it stems from, playing with Lego as a kid and having to put stickers on. Because, man, you mess those up, and suddenly your Lego set's, ruined, right? And I haven't really touched Lego in a while. I've done some of the special Star Wars collector stuff, and I've noticed more and more Lego seems to be doing more stickers than they do printed pieces. It's kind of cheap, but yeah, it's not great. I really hate having to deal with anything like that. So we're gonna stick to freehanding. I do also have some pretty fun upcoming projects. I have a whole half a box of Age of Sigmar goblins to do, and I've never really had the paint for them before now. I did put in an order. It's like a $70 order just for paint, which is kind of ridiculous now that I think about it. But I'm very excited for that to get here. It has 6 different shades of green, and I think 5 of those are just for goblin skins. So I'm hoping I can do some really fun detail work with that, some really good highlighting. Really put some effort into them, because I do like goblins quite a lot. They're very fun. And that'll be coming up soon. I just put the order in today, so it's probably going to be 5-6 days to get here. GW's usually not that bad with shipping, but it does say, up to 10 days. And we're going to just very quickly. I didn't even show off what color we're using. We're using Mephiston Red. That's entirely my bad. I was talking about goblins. And we're going to be doing everything here very quick, except for, I think, his right knee, our left knee. if you're looking at them straight on. And we're also not going to touch the Akia. I'm probably saying it wrong. It sounds super wrong, but whatever. No one's corrected me yet. Aquila. It doesn't sound right either way, you know? Such a weird word. But again, very nice thin layers. And the nice thing about having the black underneath as our kind of starting layer is that this gives us kind of a natural darker shade, which is good. I don't like my Blood Angel specifically, but most of my Space Marines to really pop too much with bright colors. There is some exceptions to that, of course, with, you know, like lighter color chapters, White Scars being the bane of my existence. But we'll do them at some point soon, and we'll kind of show off how to do that instead. And I also don't want to go crazy on this gun here, but I do want to get that hand pretty well. So it's going to look a little bit messy. And as everything dries here, we're just going to go back around for a second pass. Again, very quick. We don't have to do anything with shoulder trim, so that's going to be a nice little time-saving buff there. little speed run tactics. But we are going to have some other little details to worry about that we didn't last time. So we'll probably still have like the same time length on our video. I also don't think I'm going to do a base on this guy today. There's not really much of a point because I don't have the right color that I want for the base, and otherwise I'm just going to use the same thing we did last time with the Sterling Technical, the mud. And it doesn't really sit right with me. I want more of like a Mars color, but I don't have that, so I'm not going to subject you to me dealing with that this time. We're just going to skip it. Maybe at some point in the future we'll come back and do that. But again, I don't want to make it your guys' problem, so we just won't worry about it today. We will get everything else, though. We're also going to be doing green eyes. I know it's kind of arguable what color you want to make the eye lenses. Ultramarines, I like doing red. Blood Angels and all the other kind of darker colored factions, I just like doing green. If that's not your personal choice, I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. But it is what it is. Just kind of do, it's your guys, right? You can paint them whatever color you want. If you like Blood Angels and you want them to look exactly like mine, cool. If you still like Blood Angels and you don't want them to look like mine, that's fine too. That's like half the fun. But we are kind of getting to a point where this base color is looking nice and finished now. We're still going to have to do a little bit of touch-up work, probably with a smaller brush. But overall, it's starting to look pretty good. That front leg there is bothering me a little bit. I don't know how well you can see it with the lighting. But we will just get a little bit more paint on our palette and go right back over that one more time. That paint's actually way too wet, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. It's always better to have more kind of thin layers, thinner, than it is to have thick layers that are too thick, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. I'm just not great at words right now. So if your paint's looking really thin, don't worry about it too much. Just let it dry and go back over it again, maybe a little bit thicker. But with that being somewhat completed now, we are going to move on, and I'm going to switch our paints out. We will come back to the red in just a moment, but for now, we're not going to worry about it. We're going to let everything dry, and that's kind of going to be it. We are going to move to a different brush as well. I have a couple different options here. I think we'll do this real small little brush, if it'll focus. This is the same one we used last time, has a little bit of a curve on it. It's kind of nice for reaching some like harder to reach areas. Nothing wrong with a healthy little curve in your brush. And of course, get a nice little bit of water, a nice little bit of Abaddon black we're going back to, and make sure it's nice and thin. And we're going to be focusing on our chest piece here a little bit. If my shaky hands would stop for just a moment, that'd be really nice. That's fine, we'll deal with it. And we want to get that raised up little area right on the wing. And just kind of naturally follow it all the way through up to the top. It is a little bit weird to kind of reach higher up, but it's alright. And we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. We'll have to probably do another layer of this. This is really thin, but that kind of leaves us open for room to make more mistakes and not have to worry about it. And just as well as we can, we want to get all of that wing. Some of it's hidden behind his rifle, so it's not going to be very visible, but we'll try our best anyway to get it all. And it's looking a little bit rough, but it's fine. We can do some maintenance very quickly once everything starts to dry. And I also want to start work on this knee pad here. It's going to be this one in the front. And I usually don't do the knee pad, so this might look a little bit weird, but we'll kind of roll with it. And same thing as the chest. Let's use this Abaddon black and kind of fill in as much as we can. It's a nice thin layer, and we'll probably have to come back and get this 1 or 2 more times just because it's thin. And it kind of fits into those little recesses nicely, which gives you kind of a natural kind of stopping point. So there you are. That kind of perfectly fits on the knee there. I was kind of worried about that. They're very thin lines connecting the leg and the knee together. I was worried it might just overflow right through it, but we're good. And same thing as I did in the last video, we want to make sure we get these little joints, kind of the connecting, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's almost like an undersuit for all the armor plates. It'd be like chainmail, right? If you had like plate armor and you had a chainmail kind of connecting it all together, that's almost what I imagine this being like. And with our paint nice and thin, it kind of falls into those recesses very easily. So we just very quickly go through and do all of this. And again, this might take us another pass through, but with it being so thin, it really does all the work for us almost. And I think there's one little spot we want to get right here on the arm as well. It's kind of unrelated, but I just picked up Total War Rome 2, the like older one, the Emperor Edition. And I gotta say, it's on sale on Steam right now. If any of you guys are interested in Total War and want to pick it up, not that I'm like, affiliated with them in any way. I just think it's a fun game. The Warhammer inspiration for all like the Roman stuff is so unreal, especially being as big as a Ultramarine fan that I am. It's insane. Even like the names and just kind of like everything about it is like, oh man, this is sweet. It really makes me want a Total War Warhammer 40k game. I would love that. And I think it's a absolute shame that it's not been done yet. I know like Dawn of War is a thing. I like Dawn of War a lot, but I want a proper Total War game. And there's plenty of people out there who tell me it can't be done, and I'm inclined to agree with that. But the only problem with that is that they have a Total War Star Wars game in the works now. So if you can do it with Star Wars, you can 100% do it with 40k. I'd argue you can actually do it easily, more easily rather, with 40k setting. The focus is kind of on melee weapons, right? When it comes to like Space Marines and stuff. And Star Wars isn't. So it makes more sense to do 40k before Star Wars, but that's just me. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Feel free to let your voice be heard. But I think you're wrong. And that's just kind of my childhood dream now is a Total War 40k game, and hopefully I live to one day see that be a reality. I'm sure it'll come out sooner than GTA 6 or Elder Scrolls 6. I think is what they're on now. But that game's never coming out, so man. I don't want to get into the whole Bethesda rant, but good lord, Todd Howard, what a guy, right? Todd, it just works, Howard. I really like Bethesda, and I'm a huge nerd for Elder Scrolls, Fallout as well. I really love Fallout, but the last few games that Bethesda's released have been all pretty disappointing. Starfield, I think, is a pretty average game, but it really highlights the fact that the company only makes like one game every few years. And the fact that they kind of wasted their dev time on a game that's not going to have a sequel and is a standalone really annoys me when you have people like foaming at the mouth for another Elder Scrolls or a Fallout game. That's just my opinion. Still a fun game though. Starfield's not bad. It's just aggressively average in a lot of ways. And that's kind of all I'm gonna say on it. Otherwise, I'm gonna jump into the rabbit hole of game related opinions, and I don't think anyone wants to really hear that right now. I came here for a painting tutorial, not a kind of opening of the Grudge book. And as I kind of keep yapping, we're gonna go right back into those little armor seals and go back over them just one more time, get them nice and dark. And don't forget the bottom of it. Sometimes I forget to even prime underneath, and it looks pretty rough. So I try to make a point to get that as best as I can. And same thing on the arm. Perfect. And I want to kind of take one last little look at the chest plate. Good lord, I can't talk. So I can already see. I don't know. The shadows are kind of wacky. I have two desk lamps, and they clearly are not enough for what I want. But we are gonna have to go in with a smaller brush and kind of finish up that. The entire stomach is still like black, so I need to fix that desperately. But before we do that, and while we're here with this brush, I'm just gonna go over the knee one more time. Again, get it nice and dark, and kind of as close to those little gaps in the armor as I can viably get without running over onto the leg itself. Now we're going to switch brushes. We're going to maintain our kind of color here. We will switch in just a minute, but I do want to use a smaller brush, same one we used in the last video, nothing too crazy. And this is just going to be to get kind of the tips of the wings here, and for a little bit of touch-up work on whatever else I missed on the chest itself. And perfect. Do the other side. It's always like the very, very tips of the wings that I never really get fully. They're just so awkward to reach with the shoulder pads being where they are. But we'll do our very best to do it. And perfect. I think now we can kind of switch colors over. I do want to go back to our red, and there's just a lot of cleanup work in general that we need to really fix on this. Give it a nice shake. Again, Mephiston red. You can also use corn red if you want. It's a little bit darker of a color, I think. I don't have it in front of me, so I couldn't really verify that. But it's also an option, in case you don't have Mephiston for some reason. And first we're going to clean up this leg here. It just wasn't fully painted. And we're going to go, so we get our brush nice and sorted here on the other leg. Don't worry too much about these. They're kind of in the shadows, so unless you're really looking at it, you won't really be able to tell that they're not fully red. But I do want to get his stomach here. And I still don't think you can even see it with it being so dark. But from a certain angle, you really can, so I want to clean that up as well. And it looks kind of bright, but once it dries, it will go back to its kind of darker color, so don't worry too much about that. And I'm going to go at a really weird angle here. his little belt on the one side isn't painted. And there we are. He's starting to look pretty finished. There's some slight touch-ups and whatnot, but overall he's looking pretty good. And while we're here, and I have my very small brush out, we are going to be doing the eyes. We're going to be using Caliban green. You can also use blue if you want. That's another good color for Blood Angels, but I prefer green. So we'll get our palette set up there. And you don't really need a lot, just a little bit. It helps to have a lot of water mixed in with this, just in case you kind of mess up. And as gun's at a weird spots, this is going to be kind of awkward angle-wise. My hands will not stop shaking. But there we are. Very nice and light. I'm going to apply that as best we can without spilling any. Perfect. We did one perfect, so the other one's going to be horrible. Calling it now. But we'll still try our best. A little bit on our brush. Make sure it's real nice and thin. And here we go. Will we get lucky? Almost. Maybe. Oh. Wow. That's surprising even to me. I never get them both on the first try. So there you go. Everyone who's watching this has to give me one clap. That's how pro that was right there. And that's gonna be the rest of our green. We're not using it anymore. We are gonna be doing a little bit of lead belcher now. There's just a few details we kind of want to clean up with it. We want to do the exhausts on the jump pack, backpack, whatever you want to call it. I don't technically know the name. Power pack, I guess. So we need a little bit of water. We're going back to our very small curved brush for this, just because I don't want anything too small, but I do want to kind of avoid making too much of a mess with this. And very quickly cover those. You can also do the tops and the bottoms as well if you so choose. Although you probably won't see the bottoms of them ever, so don't stress about it too much if you miss it. And get a little bit more on our brush. I also like to do, and this I do it at a weird angle sometimes, just because it kind of helps. I like to get the bottom of the jump exhaust things. And we can get it from the other side as well. Kind of helps get full coverage there. And once again on the other side. And I think we're even going to do a little bit of silver on the gun, just to kind of shake it up a little bit. I don't know if this is like part of the magazine or what, but this top little like drum thing, I like being silver. Then of course, as always, we will do the barrel, and this is kind of a weird angle, so I don't know if you'll be able to really see it or not, but I want to get the inside of this as well. And actually that entire inside of the gun needs painted still, so I'm glad we saw that there, otherwise someone would have been screaming at me because I missed it. And just a little bit more on our palette. I also want to do the barrel. And I don't know what the deal is with these extra little 3 prongs at the front, but I also like to get those if I'm doing silver as well. And we want to switch over to the other side and do the exact same thing. We'll even get that little prong on the bottom there. Just, I think it's like the loop, if you're like attaching a sling to it. I like it to be silver, so that's what we're going to do. And just because we haven't used gold anywhere else, I don't want to make it look weird by adding gold onto the eagle there. So I'm going to do it in silver as well. And this might be a little bit more awkward to do. I'm actually going to use the back of the brush here, just to get that kind of raised up area. Get the skull as well, and then get the other side of the wings. Perfect. Now all we need to do is finish with our black, and I think we're almost done. He's coming along very well. And actually, I think the very top of his neck there needs a little bit more red, so we will do that. And I do want to shout out my couple list of things I have. I have a Patreon. If you want to support that, it really helps me out, and it helps me get more models and more paints more often. So, if you like these videos and you want to see more, feel free to take a look at that. Otherwise, I would appreciate likes, comments, subscribes, the whole 9 yards. All of it helps me out. And finally, I would like to mention that this project I'm doing now, I want to do kind of as many chapters as I can. There's tons and tons of successors and founding chapters and whatnot. So if there's one you want to see, and I'm going to go down the list of ones that I like, and then once I run out, I'm going to have to resort to just kind of looking at the wiki. So if you have a certain favorite chapter and maybe it's pretty obscure, or maybe it's not touched upon really, let me know. Drop a comment with it, and I will definitely try to do it as quickly as I can. I also, if you have like a certain faction or something you want to see, also let me know. I want to do pretty much everything at some point, so definitely shout it out if you want to see it sooner rather than later. I will attempt to accommodate you to the best of my ability, of course. If you shout out you want me to do like the Necron Combat Patrol, I don't know if I can go and just buy it like the next day, but I will definitely try my best to kind of accommodate all of that in due time. And as we kind of do find a little bit of cleanup here, we just want to touch up everything we've done before, and then I will switch over to black and we will finish up our gun, and that should kind of be it for this. There's a massive piece on his neck that's not done, which is horrible. I don't know why, just that one little spot really did not want to take any paint. It had primer on it, but it just, I don't know. Sometimes you get that. Usually the helmets are kind of like that. There's like a little back piece of the helmet that doesn't like being painted. But today I decided it was going to be the neck. That's fine. Everything is dandy. Because we don't have to do any shoulder trim. And that's always kind of like the worst part. It's not terrible, but it's just kind of very time consuming. And if you mess up, you have to keep going back over it. So it's kind of annoying. And of course, we're not doing parade ready. We're just getting this to battle ready. So we're not doing any fancy washes or highlights or any of that. But at some point, we will probably come back through and we'll just do a bunch in one go. And switching back to our black here, of course, make sure it's nice and thin. We're going to be finishing up the gun, and this will kind of be the end of it. It's been a fun little video. It's a little bit longer than I kind of hoped for, but it's fine. I think with these being one part, it's kind of worth it. That way you get the whole experience in one go. You don't have to switch between like 7 different videos. And there actually is one last little bit I want to do before we finally end. And I want to get those little shells there. I want to make them brass, because that's just how they look, in my opinion. That's how they should look, rather. I really like brass shells. I think they look great, and it's a fun little bit of detail to kind of add in to add a little bit of flavor to your model. And let us clean up the rest of this. Still needs probably one more pass through, but I won't worry about that right now. I'll do it, off camera. I'll finish this all up, and generally this is kind of the basically end of it. Let me just open up one more final paint and show it off to you. This is our Balthazar Gold, and we have one use and one use only for this. So it's kind of a waste to even go out of your way to get it, but for a tiny little detail, we might as well just get. We're gonna do these little shells here, and hopefully my hands don't shake too badly. Just a very quick, light little coat. And there we are. That's pretty much it. I will finish cleaning this guy up, and then That'll probably be like the thumbnail picture, is this guy all finished. But that's the gist of it. Just keep doing touch-up work, and it'll look perfect in no time. So there you are. Thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next episode.